distinguished viewers, welcome back to the channel, and you have waltzed right into an anime review of Osomatsu-kun 1988 with some sprinkles of comparisons to Osomatsu-san of 2015. I am going to mostly be discussing the plots that I've seen reused in 2015 from 1988 so far, and I have not yet finished Osomatsu-kun because it's 86 episodes and I'm at the halfway point, but I gotta take breaks. So, to start off, episode 1 through 10 are definitely something to behold of Osomatsu-kun. We've got cross-dressing. I think the queer cop has been introduced. There's a lot going on that did not go on in the series that was adapted for my generation to watch. First of all, queer people exist, which is not a thing that exists in the 2015 series. It's like time went backwards as far as a diverse population goes. And I read a wiki, and there's just so much going on. Like, I found out that the birth order of the siblings wasn't established until Osomatsu-san. And before that, it was just, Osomatsu was the assumed oldest, and then at some point someone else established that Totomatsu would be the youngest, but the middle was still unestablished. And what I definitely like about the Osomatsu-kun as a franchise is that anything can happen. It's very much what I enjoy about Undertale, where any universe can be a canon universe, because this is a show that validates different universes with the same characters. What I appreciate about the new Osomatsu is that when they do a different universe, they make the characters very different and even change the names. Whereas in 1988, a lot of the time, the characters stay mostly the same. And when a different story plot takes place in a world that is the same as theirs, it can be hard to distinguish whether or not this is a different story or if this is a part of the main story until later, for whatever variety of reasons. But in 1988, they didn't change the character designs that much, and they also didn't change the names. They were kind of the same people the whole time. And I've gotten up to episode 60, and so far there's a lot of characters changing roles to be people's parents and children and stuff like that. But what's really pointed out to me, even before I got to episode 60, is that Totoko doesn't seem to have an age like the boys do, and I assume that she is 10 like they are. But she takes on more mature roles. You really have to watch this for yourself. She's not acting like a 10-year-old. The Matsuno boys are acting like 10-year-olds. She is anything at any given time as pretty much the only consistent female character. And in the 80s this was fine, but nowadays it's a little disturbing. So I'm thinking that in accordance to Japanese culture, she's actually older than them and a teenager instead of 10 like they are. And another thing that I appreciate about 1988 is that it's funny and it's a lot less vulgar, and it doesn't split up into 15-minute segments like a lot of the 2015 series does. It takes a story to a full 20-something minutes, so we can actually get into the story. But, I mean, a format can work as long as you know how to use it, but 15 minutes kind of makes things feel incomplete. That being said, I do fully acknowledge that there are some segments in Osomatsu-san that are more than 15 minutes. On occasion, we got stories that were that had a full episode dedicated to the plot. But Osomatsu-kun is fun. It's not dramatic. They're children. And it ignores policy, and yet it's in line with policy, and it's also the policy of the 80s. So I definitely suggest watching Osomatsu-kun. I have only watched episode 1 of the original Osomatsu-kun from 1966. And I hope to find more of it, but that's harder to get a hold of. But in the meantime, it's just it's hard to do a full review on this because everything is just so chopped up. One episode they're in the mountains skiing with Ayami. Another episode Dakapan is their uncle. Another episode they're in the Edo period. It's wild and crazy, but I gotta say I appreciate the quality of it. I like not being able to tell the sextuplets apart. I didn't know that I would be so into the idea of, hey, these kids play pranks. What I dislike is that the focus isn't on them, whereas, like, I expect, if you're going to name your show something, I expect it to be about the thing that you named it. And I expect to see a lot of these characters, and we don't really get that. The Matsuno boys are, they're really more like background characters. It's often that the plot isn't focused on them. It's more focused on Ayami and Chibita. And of course the series has its problematic turns that are very related to what is problematic in Japanese culture, like just basically the treatment of people that are different, where one episode is, granted, this character is a pig, but it was totally okay for Chibita to be mean to Hanako because the boys pranked him with dating Hanako, but I think she actually liked him. I'm not sure, but the point is that she has feelings. And it was totally okay for Chibita to treat her like she didn't have feelings because she's a pig and because she was a prank from the boys. And I feel like they kind of addressed it. Of course I was pissed off, like, why does Chibita get to be the good guy just because he got back at the sextuplets at the expense of this poor girl's feelings? But they made the ending bittersweet when I really look at it again through a different perspective, because they do acknowledge, hey, she's sad, she has feelings. And then he just runs off at the end like, I win! But it's like, the fact that they acknowledge it before he does his victorious run off into the street or whatever, it made me think, like, maybe they did hint at how it wasn't okay, and there are a lot of times like that in this series of, like, why do Chibita and Ayami get to win when they're just as shitty, if not shittier, than the sextuplets? And sometimes Totoko gets hers too. But sometimes she wins. But I feel like in the ones where she wins, she wasn't as shitty as she is in the ones where she loses. I feel like she's really the only character who gets what she deserves. And, well, also sometimes the sextuplets, but really Chibita and Ayami really seem to get away with stuff. And it was pointed out in season 2 of the new series that Ayami was more of the main character than the sextuplets. Chibita was also there when they acknowledged that, but I don't think he pointed that out like Ayami did. But I enjoy seeing all of the characters. I enjoy the involvement of the Matsuno parents. I enjoy that everyone is interacting with each other. It's not just how the sextuplets interact with others and the world around them. It is about how the sextuplets interact with each other and then the world around them, and how the world around them reacts to them. And it's like, I feel like the characters are definitely more fleshed out and explored, especially Dakapan and Dione. When I saw, like, I was only a few episodes in when I became pissed off about how 2015 did Dione and Dakapan. I don't know what Dione is supposed to be now, but in 1988, Dione was a character. a full-fledged character that got just as much makeup and makeover and roles, and also seemed to be put in the place of various citizens, which is kind of like where the first episode of season 1 comes in, with a Dione factory, which explains why there's so many different Diones. I'm going to use that to segue into something. The 2015 series took a lot of things from 1988, but constantly references 1966 and doesn't directly reference 1988 at all. And I don't understand why that is. I feel like it's unfair, but it might be a copyright thing that I don't understand. It's always a copyright thing, right? Copyright is very complicated, if you're in the politics of the industry, you've come to know that very well. But like, I'm saying this having not seen but one episode from 1966, so I don't know how much 1988 got from 1966, but for a fact, 2015 is like 90% 1988, based on what I've seen so far, and I'm only at episode 60. And I needed to take a break because it's just so much stuff. It can be mentally overwhelming, which is something that I can't really say about 2015. First of all, 2015 has way less episodes, season 1 and season 2 combined. And honestly, I feel like 2015 throws a lot less stuff at you than 1988. But I am saying that comparing a 86 episode series to like, I don't remember exactly how many episodes season 1 and season of San have, but it is significantly less than 86 episodes. It's like, how much LSD does it take, people? But I want to see the franchise definitely extend more. I definitely want more character diversity exploration, and I do hope that 2015 San is not the end of Fujio's fucking masterpiece, obviously. And I also hope that they continue to mix things up. What I want is a Osomatsu that goes from the attitude of 1988. The boys grow up. I also kind of want them to keep their hive mind. I actually don't want them to split off into different personalities. And I want them to realize that they are still motivated, they are still super confident, they fucking got this thing that's called life, but they aren't conventional. Like, none of them are going to grow up to be salarymen, and they've accepted that, and they actually, like, do something creative. Like, they all, like, team up and figure out how to travel, or do unconventional jobs, and stuff like that. Like, I want to see adventurous, confident Matsunos. And I want I want a lot of what I see from 1988, where like everyone still gets a flavorful character that we can all enjoy and identify with in some sort of way, and things are still very mixed up, but I want that good old Matsuno confidence that I'm seeing. Not to say that people aren't allowed to have mental health issues, because I feel like Ichimatsu is someone who is really pointing that out with like depression or whatever. But it's possible, because it's the Osomatsu universe, and anything can happen. Everything has happened, and everything will continue to happen. So whereas we have these slag Matsunos in another universe, there can be confident, unorthodox, successful Matsunos that are like, yes, we grew up and we did it. We didn't do it the way you wanted to do it. We did it the way we wanted to do it, and we fucking did it. And that's what I want. So until next time, I'll see y'all later. Bye.